Today I'm going to review the Coleman B200cc, and this is, I think this was new in 23. I've had it for, well, it's spring 24 now, and I've had it since fall, I guess, late summer of 23. And I'm pretty sure, I'm not big into these mini bikes or anything like that, but for $1,000, how do you not buy one, right? But I know there's a huge kind of like cult following for these, but this is my first one since I've been a little kid, and well, I'm not a little kid anymore, so we need a mini bike that can hold some size. So I saw at Tractor Supply I saw that they had this one. It's got the soft tail there, it's got suspension on the back, it's got disc brakes, and it's got suspension on the front. And for me, that makes all the difference in whether or not I would buy one of these things. And you know, you have to always say, for the money, I don't think you can go wrong. I mean, you know, in these 2020s we're in, you can't get anything for $1,000, and I haven't had a single issue with it. And for just you know, messing around, getting from A to B, checking on different animals, checking trail cams, or even riding bikes with the kids, this has been great. And just with that little added suspension, I'm not really feeling it. And I mean, you know, I'm not old, but I'm not young anymore. Let's just say I'm somewhere in between 30 and 40 there, so I like it. And like I say, you know, you gotta always say, for the money, this thing is great. I mean, I've got, you know, $13,000 four-wheeler and $100,000 in tractors, and obviously those have their purposes and stuff like that, and they're much more productive. But just for banging around, this thing is great. I haven't had any issues with it starting. I mean, I know there's a whole tuner scene out there, and you can put different engines on these, and like, okay, go for it. But for how fast it can get up to, I wouldn't really want it much faster. I don't take it on the road. You know, if you take it on the road, you can get them screaming. You could, you know, open the throttle up, put a bigger engine in, whatever, get a little bit more air in there, all the stuff that I'm assuming a couple of you'll watch will know all about that. But if I want to go fast, I'll pick a different machine. So, but like I say, it's all, you know, it's all driving out in here, over in the woods over there, going through here, in the woods over there, and just driving around 30 acres here. This is plenty. I tell you what, you get that thing screaming through the woods on an old trail, you don't really want it to go any faster. I mean, I definitely don't. And like I said, the suspension makes that possible. I can't even imagine going, I don't know how fast the thing can go. I'm assuming, you know, if you let it build up speed, I bet you can get 30. I clock my dogs on the four-wheeler once in a while, and our younger one, he goes 27 for a steady pace, but he can keep up with this unless I really get going. So I bet you this thing can do about 30, and that's with me on it. And I'm not little. I'm over 6 feet tall, and you know, around 250. So this thing doesn't even feel me on it, which is pretty awesome for such a tiny machine. So I'm a really big fan for the price. You know, you go get a dirt bike or something like that, and it's gonna shred it. But $1,000 in this year, 2024 or whatever, 2023. I mean, you know, it's $100 to go get fast food for the family if I were to even go buy that. But this thing's been great. I haven't had any issues with it. 200cc for, you know, completely off-roading has been plenty of power for me. You know, chain driven. I don't know if the older ones are or aren't, but I haven't had an issue. You know, these are just these little out of China, little snowblower engines, something like that. But it's all pull start down here. You got your throttle, which is obviously linked up here. You got your fuel line, your choke. Just get on. Put your on switch here on. Give it a yank with some choke. The only thing I did do, because it took like 2 seconds, was I wanted this thing to get a little bit better air. This housing here seemed a little solid, so I did just very quickly on the back side just put a couple more holes in there, just so it can breathe a little easier. And I suppose I probably did somewhere in there. There's the throttle governor, and there's a little screw down in there, and I did just back that out a tiny bit so the throttle will go back just that little bit more. And for the sake of longevity and just bombing around, like I say, off-road all the time, I did not want to mess around with that and potentially, you know, shorten its life or anything like that. Like I say, if I'm gonna go fast, we'll get out a fast car or get on the quad, and you can really rip it with that. But $1,000, it's a heck of a little toy. And honestly and surprisingly, you know, because it's not so fast and it's so low to the ground, you can kind of just like walking around. And you know, I've got young kids, and getting them on mountain bikes, I can just kind of do circles around them while they're biking, you know. So, and maybe one day they can graduate to one of these and bomb around as well. So for $1,000 in 2024, with the front and rear suspension, that wide seat, the beefy frame, I say you cannot beat finally getting one of these now with all those features. If you know, you're a grown man and you don't want your spine compacted, or you're not tiny. So for $1,000 bucks, I highly recommend it.